Entering the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Smash the like, sub to the channel, rate and review the audio podcast, and subscribe. As you always do, we are kicking off 30 weeks of Pat, Jeff, and Cust coming at you, talking football and maybe even some special shows, including Cust Corners and Ryder Cup previews, all throughout the course of the next few months. But strap yourself in, feel the G's. We are starting off, like we do every year, with the top 10 quarterback rankings. Not for fantasy, no, for real life. If teams had to pick a quarterback starting from scratch and you only get to have them for 2 years, it's a 2-year sample. So it's not just this year, it's this year and next year going forward. Those are the bases of the rankings. If you can't follow that, you're an idiot, because I just said it. But, you know, you're always going to get people, hey, what about this guy in 7 years from now? No, that's not how it fucking works, okay? Getting mad at myself already as we're kicking off NFL season. How is this going to go? Jeff Feinberg is on the line with me. Are you worried that if Justin Herbert isn't ranked high enough as a consensus by us three, that you're going to be very upset?
No, listen, the internet has made a mini thing out of like any ranking that if you rank Herbert too high, the comments are filled with he's done nothing. What has he done? He hasn't won anything. If you rank him too low, it's filled with, are you blind? Like, what's wrong with you? He's obvious. Look at his stats. He's become a very polarizing player for a player that talented. So yeah, nope. I'm used to it. I like seeing him get the respect, and most rankings do. I assume this one will as well.
Well, it's not just me on the show. It's not just Jeff, as I spoiled off the top of the show. By the way, go to runthesims.com, code Mayo. Get yourself the betting and DFS package. I think that would work. You know who else should do that? Maybe he doesn't need it because his game has been fire currently. We'll see how it goes in football season. It is Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That's not my name. I thought you were going to reference the coin. I guess the coin's too good to show up on QB ranked shows.
How would the coin make these picks?
That's the coin's problem. That's not my problem. He gets to make all these fancy dancy picks during the NFL year and get credit for them, but yet you can't show up in the preseason when we're putting in the reps. Okay.
If you want to incorporate the coin into the show, the coin is here in studio, he's sizing up the competition for this year's picks. If you have a way to incorporate L coin into the proceedings, please let me know.
I don't. That's not my problem.
Well, it seems like you have a problem with the coin. Is the coin bullying you again? Just like when Siri was bullying you?
Stop it.
Your Apple Watch no longer.
No, it doesn't bully. It loves me.
I know, and it used to bully you until you started doing what it said. Now it doesn't bully you anymore.
It loves me, especially when I play golf. It loves me. It loves me so much. I'm in a great mood. I'm in a zen place. I'm feeling good. Let's have some fun with this show.
Sure. Well, so we're doing our top 10. I guess we should talk about honorable mentions off the top, because I feel like our top 10s are all I feel like there's 8 guys in particular that are going to be inside the top 8, and then it's kind of everyone else, and you can put them in whatever order you want. So if we did like top 15, top 20, I think we'd have some interesting conversations and arguments about, no, this guy should be 14, not 17. And that's not really the purpose of this. Like, I don't know, Jeff, who would you rather have? Derek Carr or Jared Goff for the next 2 years?
I would rather have Jared Goff.
Sure about that?
Yeah, I'd rather have the guy in that offense.
You don't get the guy.
Coordinator.
Every single year we talk about this. You don't get the guy on the team he's on. You're just drafting a quarterback to have.
Yeah, I would still take Jared Goff. Over Derek Carr, but none of them really even flirted my honorable mentions.
Yeah,
they're both in my honorable mentions.
They're both in mine too. Like, would you rather have Dak Prescott or Matt Stafford, Tim?
Well, Dak is in my top 10, and Stafford is not. So
Dak. You would rather have Dak. But I think those names are pretty interchangeable, depending on the health of Stafford. So you have to assume, if you take him and you ranked him that highly, you have to assume that he's healthy for 2 years.
Oh, but I get him with Cooper Kupp, right?
Yeah, you get him with Cooper Kupp and Sean McVay, so it's all good.
I have, Dak made my rankings. Stafford just missed.
All right. Well, I didn't have Dak on mine, but it sounds like you guys want to start off with Dak. So he was left absent from my list, but he's on both of yours. Is he number 10 on your list, Jeff?
He's actually number 9.
Me too. Number 9.
Okay, so he's unranked on mine. So, okay, he's actually came in at number 11 on mine. So I guess the guy that I have at 10 potentially is not on your guys' list, or the guy that I have at 9. So sell me on Dak. Like, he's been okay.
Oh, I just think what I noticed doing the list this year is that once you get through the first 7, 8 QBs, the talent at quarterback is actually pretty threadbare. And I didn't anticipate having Dak on my list. But then I looked at it and went, he's got a great arm. He can still move. 5 years ago, he was flirting with a top 3 or 4 QB. He's dropped distinctively down to the bottom end of this top tier. But you noticed it last year when Dallas had him versus when they didn't, that Dallas certainly showed improvements when they had him. I still think he's a game changer. And so, yeah, he makes the list.
Like, he's a game changer over the back. Who was it? Cooper Rush last year was playing quarterback. But would he be an improvement, let's say, if Kirk Cousins was the Cowboys quarterback?
Well, I have him ranked just above Kirk Cousins. So, yes.
Okay. Jeff, would you rather have Dak than Cousins?
Yeah, Dak made my list. Cousins didn't. Dak, he takes a lot of criticism, and some of it obviously is deserved, but I just think he takes way too much heat. He's better than the perception. And right now, I feel like in the NFL orbit, there's like a very negative connotation around him that I think is unfair. If someone told me that you said you have him 11 or 12, I wouldn't argue with that. Like, it's something be like, complaining
he's the second
about
best quarterback in his conference.
It'd be like complaining about what you like on your hamburger versus me. Like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me at all.
Well,
I just think he's given a bit of a bad rep, and your season ending to San Francisco 2 years in a row. I don't think that's anything to complain about. I know it doesn't matter, like, team or situation, but like his end of the road the last couple years, I don't hold him as accountable for that as some other people.
I'm with you. I think that Dak is good, very good, especially with the ranking that I have him on. He didn't crack my top 10. Like I said, he's number 11. Kirk Cousins, in full disclosure, is number 12 on my list. So I, too, would rather have Dak than Kirk Cousins, but only marginally. I think they're all kind of interchangeable. And you kind of hit on it, Tim, that we're at a spot right now where I think you could take almost any one of the next 7 quarterbacks and make them 9 or 10 if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Like, this is the 9 and 10 are a part of a tier that's outside of the top 10, and they seem to be a full step back, or a gap, as you would call it in one of your lists, from the top 7 or top 8, whatever it is that we end up deciding on. So I guess I'll go with my number 10. Then I took Deshaun Watson, and obviously what we saw from Watson last season.
Oof. If I had a top 20, he wouldn't have made the top 20.
Well, that's
a top 25. I don't know if he makes the top.
How would he not make the top 20?
So
is he cooked?
He looked. I don't know. He certainly looked way too cooked to put him in the top 10. Maybe he'll turn it around. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but like, people, I don't think appreciate how devastating it is to your football career to miss more than a complete season of football. Very, 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 very few people come back from that and play well. I don't see him being exceptional in that case. Maybe he will be. It's possible, but I got real doubts. I certainly wouldn't have had him any higher than like 20th. Honestly, they're just.
Come on.
Are you kidding me? I would, knowing that Kyler Murray is going to be out for most of this year, I would take Kyler Murray over the next 2 years over Deshaun Watson.
You rather Jimmy G over 100%. Deshaun Watson?
I mean, yes, I think I would. Not Deshaun Watson of 2020. He was one of the best players in football. Deshaun Watson of 2020, he didn't make my list. I would have Tua over Deshaun Watson, though, because at least Tua shows life.
I understand this pick as I guess it's not even a pick, it's a ranking, has the potential to go horribly wrong, but we're not here to talk about the past. These aren't the Mark McGuire rankings. They are trying to project out forward. And listen, he missed the year. He took did he miss any time last year? He missed what, like 6 games?
He missed 2 years.
Yeah.
He missed
he was suspended a lot last
12
year.
or 13 games last year.
That's right.
He basically missed 2 full seasons.
It's hard to come in, mid 66% of the way through the season. Now he has a full camp, a full offseason to get incorporated with the playbook. And yeah, like I said, he could barely throw a screen pass last year. But this is still a player that if we had done this before his suspension, that he likely would have been flirting with the top 4, top 3. That was the path that he was on. And I think we forget, I think Deshaun Watson's 27 years old. Like he had already kind of reached that peak. He still has a long time left in his career to get it turned around. And I can see it being very possible that that happens this year.
Sure, but you're looking through the wrong end of the telescope. This ranking is not based on projections. It's exclusively based on the past. Sorry, it is.
So you're saying it's impossible
based on what he's done.
So, okay.
I didn't say it's impossible, but it's ranked based on what he's done, not on what he's going to do. This is not a forward-looking rank.
Deshaun Watson has a chance. I put him at 10 as well, as I guess as Pat did. So obviously I think differently than Tim. And even if you made him 12, 13, I wouldn't argue. I think Tim is being a little egregious with saying 20. He got my 10 spot because of all these guys in this cluster, to me, he's the best chance of actually sniffing the top 5.
Yes.
I don't agree.
He could bottom out.
I don't agree.
He could bottom out. He could. But his ceiling to me is still as high as Tua just missed my list. But if he stays healthy, he could, with the stats we saw last year and how comfortable he could be and what we thought he could be in the draft position, before the jokes that were low-hanging fruit when it all started, he also has the potential maybe to actually get really close to the top. But Deshaun Watson, there's enough equity in what happened before, maybe we're not supposed to include it, that he made my top 10 still.
See, I'm on the same wavelength as you. Like, I look at the guys that I have behind him: Stafford, Dak, Cousins, Goff, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, that I think when you're trying to draft someone for 2 years and you're starting a team right now, you look at the potential that is there. And listen, he has achieved certain heights in his career already. If you can get him fixed and turn around, and maybe the back end of the last season was almost like the preseason of getting his career back. That's the bet that you're having to make. And I agree with you. This could be an absolute flameout. He could be done. He could be dust and be out of the league. I guess the Browns are paying him a ton of guaranteed money, so he's not going to be out of the league. But compared to those other guys, we know what their ceilings are. But we also know what Watson's ceiling is. He's just very far away from that right now. But I do think that he's young enough, and I do think that now getting back into the flow and getting reps on a new team, my team, the one that I'm drafting, is just a way to get him away from a bad situation, get him back to where he needs to be. Like, he is the kind of perfect combination of Josh Allen is one thing, but what Watson does and what Allen does when Watson was running at his top, Watson was like a less sloppy Josh Allen.
Sure. 2020 me would have agreed with you. I'm sorry. So I just don't buy it.
What percent chance do you think that he would have going forward of being good then?
What's good? Like in terms of being a top 10 quarterback?
Yes.
Oh, there's a 25% chance.
Okay, how about a top 15 quarterback?
30-ish chance, 35%. Like it's there. I wouldn't say it's no. It's like flipping a coin heads twice in a row. It can happen. It's not likely.
What about a top
guys
5
who miss a lot of time? It's the same reason like you don't want anything to do with Calvin Ridley. Why you didn't want anything to do with running backs who missed like you missed lots and lots of time. Sorry, I'm out on you.
Why do you keep going back to McKinnon?
History keeps I'm not saying McKinnon's a top 10 running back. I just have a soft spot for Jerick McKinnon.
You did call him a top, but you did call him a top 5 running back
before he got hurt the very first time.
And then you called him a top 5. No, then you called him a top 5 running back again, and you drafted him.
No, I didn't. Well, that second part is not true. And then yes, I did draft him, but I'm completely biased as a fan of Jerick McKinnon. Like there's no objectivity there.
I'd gamble on Watson over Dak and Cousins, knowing that I'm maxing out at a certain point with their talent.
Okay, I disagree with you, but that's fine.
Number 9 on the list. I have Tua at number 9. It sounds like he missed your guys' list.
He was 11 for me. Maybe based on why I picked Watson, I probably should have picked Tua ahead of Dak. In some ways, because like Watson, he has actual potential of jumping into like a clear tier 2, flirt with a tier 1 quarterback if he can stay healthy. At the moment, he's obviously benefited or can benefit from the situation he's in, but Lots of great quarterbacks are able to do that. Again, I'm a sucker for kind of where you were drafted and what we thought about you then, and we're not that far removed from those days, despite the jokes that were there and that I made myself. But if he's healthy, I think they're winning the division. I don't want to change the subject, but that's what I do think. As much as Tim is he has my emotional support this year. Tua's healthy. Dolphins win that Eastern division.
Are we in a situation where people are just going to be really surprised when the Bills are really good? No one's picking the Bills. It's the Jets or the Dolphins. Those are the only two teams that can apparently win the AFC East, not the best team in the division.
I'm not surprised. Where their quarterback ranks should show they could win it all on my list.
Is it just that they haven't done it? They've kind of peaked each of the past few seasons, the past 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. And now people are just like, well, they'll never win. So we need to kind of push them aside when they're probably just going to be in the mix again.
Yeah, I'm a hot new thing. Be different. The Bills' biggest issue, Pat, was they essentially were the Super Bowl favorites, and Josh Allen was the MVP favorite from even the moment they lost to Kansas City with the 13 seconds. Even though there was a Super Bowl that happened after that with the Bengals and the Rams, Josh Allen was still like next year's MVP. And the day that Super Bowl ended with the Bengals and the Rams, the Bills were the favorites to win the Super Bowl. And like a golf tournament, like there's only so long you're going to stay in front, I guess. Right. And they finally kind of got in a moment at home of weakness. They kind of limped in some respects, and Allen got hurt. So I don't know, but that's sort of my thoughts on the Bills.
How low did you have Tua, Tim?
15th.
Okay, I can buy that.
Yeah, I think it's there. I think he's a product more of his circumstances than his talent. You put him on the Falcons this year, I think he would struggle. But he's on the Dolphins, and they have, one excellent receiver, one overhyped but good receiver. And, that they have a coach who loves to throw the ball to the team's detriment. So that's good for two of his numbers. And so, yeah, I think he's in a marvelous spot. But if you were to put him on if you put him on the Panthers or the Falcons or someone like that, I think that would not be a match made in heaven. So middle of the pack is probably just where he should be.
I think that's an interesting point, and I'll concede that to you, that I don't think that he works in every single offense. But, as soon as you get your quarterback, you would want to devise a plan to maximize what your quarterback can do. And it's weird because I think in certain offenses, he is very, 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 very good, that there is no real middle ground for him in a weird way, that he would either be bad in an offense or really good in an offense. And at least the Dolphins...
I think this is the best possible offense he could be in.
I think a Sean Payton.
I don't think you could construct one better.
I actually think that Sean Payton's on, like New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees.
Sean Payton when he's allowed to coach, or Sean Payton when he's been suspended for a year running Bounty Gate.
You know what Pat means?
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton. Offense.
The least competent coach, perhaps, in the entire NFC.
Are you cursing the Broncos into being awesome now?
Sean Payton, who dares to criticize other teams' coaches when he gets suspended for a whole year while Bounty Gate takes place over his watch. Sean Payton, who won one Super Bowl by gambling in a bad spot and getting real lucky. Sean Payton, who's thrown away more chances at Super Bowls than most people have dreamed of. Sean Payton, who was supposed to be really good because Bill Parcells coached him, who's probably the most hyped coach in NFL history. But yes, I'm sorry. If Sean Payton had to, he'd be so great. Yeah, great.
His rivals.
Great Sean Payton. Anyway.
You've been sitting on that one, have you? You've been trying to keep in your crazy for like the past month, and now it's starting to seep out a little bit the closer we get to the season.
I think Sean. I'll take lectures from a lot of people on managing teams. I don't think Sean Payton is in any position to criticize anybody's management of a football team. Again, he was thrown out of the league for an entire year because he presided over his team running a Bounty Gate scandal.
Hey, Tim, then just run with the theory he did that. You're a politics guy. In the same way, a guy who just takes over the office has to be like, look, don't expect anything from me. The guy before me, look at the shit I got to clean up. Like, it's a very political move, or maybe he was rallying his troops, but you got a rival now. I think it's be a fun one.
I hate that Denver team, and I'm excited
for week 5.
Excited for week 5.
Yeah, Shit.
Despise them.
Nathaniel Hackett's never even called a play for your team. Like, why do you?
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about Hackett. I'm talking about Sean Payton.
Oh, there's nothing to do with the calling out of Nathaniel Hackett that you
Calling
suddenly
out,
despise Sean Payton.
Sorry, I guess I'm supposed to let drive-by smears go by.
No, you shouldn't. But you shouldn't, and you should stand up for it. But it's not like you have equity with Nathaniel Hackett, like he's ever done anything for the Jets that you need to.
Oh, I'd love to have a Sauce Gardner jersey. Imagine the game on the line and you throw at him. What's wrong with you? Get out of here. Bye-bye, Broncos. Bye-bye, Nate Hackett. Enjoy the unemployment line. Bye-bye.
He's gonna be Pogey Nate.
Bye-bye.
If Aaron says he's good
about
stuff,
Nathaniel Hackett.
if Aaron says he's good,
Bronco beef.
if
now.
Aaron says he's good, he's good. I'm with him. Sean Payton. I hope that team loses every single game they play.
Damn it.
The only question is, will Russell Wilson still be on the roster when they get to draft first overall next year?
I hope, because you're hot right now.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
That's good.
You know, he had nothing insightful to say on Fox for a whole year, and then he comes on
I
to
thought he was great.
How much? I mean,
actually.
you spend all your time pre-show here with me. We never once watched the Fox show. When are you watching that Fox show?
I'm watching it.
Really? Are you now?
Yeah, I'm watching it.
He would do a weekly segment with Cowherd, and I don't really listen to that show, but that was a good, like, just getting that segment.
Oh, great. Then
always
you should listen
enjoyed.
to Broncos Talk Radio or whatever it is. Broncos All Access every week then, Jeff. It'll be available for you. If he's so insightful, why don't you listen to him every week? Then you'll have that opportunity, you know.
Did you see what? I mean, both of you guys did this. I wanted to say some nice things about Tua, and you guys just start talking about whatever else is on your mind rather than acknowledging that Tua was.
No, Tim went there. I've said nice things about Tua. Tim went there. Let's go back to Tua.
I said nice things.
Let's go back. If he's healthy, he's perfect. Like, and when you break down his stats, like even when it was time to throw deep, like he was effective. McDaniel plays chess, and he sets up those moves perfectly for when it's time for Tua to throw it deep, to move sticks, you know, beyond them. Like, he was also incredibly effective. There's really nothing to poke a hole at other than the health anymore. And his willingness to love football and die for us. Like,
he struggles in cold weather.
If
you're drafting a team that plays north of the Carolinas, I don't know how effective.
I don't make fun of him anymore. I still will defend or get a little uptight.
I got bigger fish to fry. When
people are like, they'd rather Tua than Herbert. Like, Dolphins be Super Bowl fucking favorites.
And with the cold weather stuff, like, hasn't he played like 2 games in the cold?
It's a handful of games.
Well, how many do you think it is?
4 or 5, I think.
Really?
Whatever. The moment he wins one big game in like Pittsburgh, that narrative is just over.
No, I'm not saying that's not possible. It could happen.
Or in Buffalo, obviously, at some point.
They had a chance to win in Buffalo. They threw that game away.
He didn't even play in that game.
Him.
No, he didn't, but his team did.
No, the Bills.
So you're holding that against Tua? That his team
I'm not.
We're talking about Tua.
Well, then we've talked about him. I think we've said all we had to say.
So would you say Tua and Herbert have the same playoff record of 0-1 because the Dolphins lost that game?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Who do you guys have at number 9 or number 10, whatever it is on your list?
Kirk Cousins.
Jeff,
I had Watson 10, Dak at 9.
All right, so you had Cousins off. I had Cousins just off a spot behind Dak. Did anyone watch that quarterbacks series on Netflix that he's a part of?
No.
I didn't see it either. Paul, you
watched it. Was I supposed to?
Paul, you watched it, didn't you?
No, Dak's not on it.
No,
Cousins.
Talking about Cousins.
We already talked about Dak.
I watched some. It was him, Mahomes, and it was Mariota.
Kirk seemed like exactly what you would think he is.
I liked Kirk.
Those 3 guys don't seem compelling, though.
Decent dude.
Yeah, well, who is the most compelling of those guys?
I think Kirk.
Really?
Yeah, like Mahomes is just like everything you would ever want. He's very, very wholesome and like.
Is there a lot of Jackson Mahomes
he's
in it?
with his family all the time, and I don't know. Kirk seemed the most. He's the most experienced, so he's got like a lot more stuff to talk about. And like his regimen of getting ready every single week because of the number of injuries he's had over the years is like kind of interesting. Mariota was kind of a dud.
Dud syndrome. Marcus Mariota. I don't even think he's in the league. Maybe he is. Did he sign with anyone, Jeff?
I
I
just
don't-
assumed he
maybe
was
it's-
retained by the Falcons, but I don't know.
He is on the Eagles.
No, that's actually
What
he's
a
a really good.
great
That's actually a really.
backup
That's
for
what
that.
that's a very good backup to have.
They
for-
could run the same plays. They could
Yeah.
have them both out there, do some trick shit, and let
No,
them
no,
throw
no,
it.
no, no,
I
no, no,
guarantee
no, no,
you.
no,
I
no.
guarantee you. In week 9, when Hurts is injured, Cam is gonna love the Eagles quarterback by Marcus Mariota. Gonna love them.
Wait, you just said his name normally.
Yeah, it's true. What happened to Mariota-san?
I'm trying to be more conscious about the way I speak.
What?
Why is
Trying to be deliberate. Because I was accused of throwing a hissy fit the last time I came on this show.
And your behavior since, like you threw such a hissy fit that I think you even scared yourself for how you acted.
Well, just like I've been told by multiple people that like you have the award more or less locked up this year with a couple of your takes earlier in the golf season.
Okay,
So all I need to do is not
no.
step
Hold
on-
on. Name names who told you that.
Not going to name names.
So
other
no
than
one.
You.
So-
You're one of them who said it.
I said it. I said Jeff had some crazy takes. I in no way
No.
said that he was the front runner to.
After the last live show, you said to me, "Well, he's got that one locked
No, I think
up."
it was
that is-
2 live shows
that-
ago.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that-
it was the
and
U.S.
I-
Open one.
And I did not say that it was locked up.
I think
So
Pat
you
and
you
all
you
that
hold on.
And then
You
Jeff
you
on
just
the
you
show
just
on
listen.
Monday claimed
Hold-
himself to be a psychopath. Called himself, and I quote, "I'm a psychopath."
Jeff
End
can
quote.
Jeff can call himself a serial killer. He's simply less crazy than you.
Just saying, in a lot of ways, it's locked up. I just need to not step on any bombs, and I need to be very careful not to make any mistakes. And if I do that, this is over.
Well, you've already made your mistakes because me saying I'm a psychopath because I bet too much Thomas Peters this year, which was really stupid, will get lost. We'll get lost the moment Pat releases the cuss corner he did with Gary in the other day.
We'll see. We'll see, won't we?
I did tell Jeff that you were talking about driving an F1 car.
Oh, it's such a great idea. Vroom.
Dude, we're not getting in one.
Well, they have to
You
like
can't fit.
customize the cab so that the average person can get in.
Are you calling yourself the average person?
No, but but you know what? I'm probably the average American.
That is true. You probably are the size of an average American. That is correct.
So there you have it.
Half the population's on that 1,000-pound show on TLC, I think.
Yeah, but the other half's on Ozempic.
Yeah, there you go. Easy stuff. I mean, do you think A-Rap has whatever the hell that thing's called? Get some from him? Rob Pizzola? Is Pizzola? Is he holding out on us?
I don't know.
We can have Ozempic parties with Pizzola and or Cam, depending on who gets prescribed what. So Tua, we're off him. We were talking about Cousins. Is there much really we can say about Cousins at this point, rather than he's an above-average quarterback who can make some big throws, some big plays, but you always feel like you have a ceiling, whether if you have Kirk Cousins? He's like,
I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan. I feel like
I would have said the
I've
same
never
thing about Stafford, and then Stafford won a Super Bowl. So, like, I don't know. The NFC is so terrible. If Cousins plays well this year, Minnesota could go all the way to the Super Bowl. That shouldn't surprise anybody.
Well-
That's a good enough. He's a good enough quarterback to do that in a conference that's really weak
Jeff, why is everyone out on Minnesota? I find myself
Because
liking
they-
Minnesota.
because they're like the primary negative regression candidate.
No.
That's why they won all
Steve-
their games by 3 points last year in weird ways.
True, and they got
That is
in the
all true.
playoffs.
That's okay, but that's why the numbers would suggest that their Pythagorean theorem wins would have been like nearly half of what they were.
Okay,
I don't
but
think it was
even
half.
if you want to take that,
They won 13. They
case,
probably should have won 7. So yeah,
No,
it
no,
probably
no,
is
no.
like half.
the fact that Minnesota doing what they did, and they're still a team. There was some turnover on defense, and they changed the guard with Thielen and brought in the young receiver, and now they let go of Cook, but they had a rookie head coach last year, and they won 13 games, and they don't get respected for any. Like, people think this year they're going to be worse than they were last year. Like, they don't even get any respect for doing what they did. And even if you think they shouldn't have won 13, Tim says 7. That's probably low. 8 or 9. Like, there's enough there to think they could take another step and be better. So yeah, I don't get why everyone hates them so much, but I've found myself as an apologist for them and Cousins over the years.
Yeah, I just they find I don't know, they're a little bit like the Steelers, the current iteration of the Steelers, just a little bit better because the NFC is a little bit weaker, that they actually have few more teams to beat up on. I think it's just that everyone's in love with the Lions, and people think for whatever reason that the Bears are going to be good, which is nonsense.
You can love two teams in that division because the NFC is so weak. It's okay.
No, it's all right, but they like those two teams in that division when
I see.
when it's probably better. I mean, if we're just going to talk about betting and we'll get to the win totals, I think that Green Bay and Minnesota are probably the better plays in that division over Detroit and Chicago.
I like Detroit a lot. I like Detroit obviously a lot, but I like Minnesota a lot too.
Green Bay's a write-off?
I don't know if they're a write-off, but like 6-7 wins.
Over.
I think they're going to go over as well.
Yeah, we'll see.
None of us brought up Fields. Like, he wasn't even inside my top 20.
Now, I mean, maybe he could, in theory, maybe get like 19-20 now. No, I'm not. Sorry, not there.
I need to see something from him, Jeff, rather than just like juking people and running for 80 yards. Like, but what is he? The rich man's Terrell Pryor?
Yeah, I mean, very exciting. Looking forward to see how that goes this year. They made some improvements to the offense, but I thought about it in a moment, but didn't really get any real consideration yet.
And listen, maybe I'm going to have a big swing and a miss on this, and adding DJ Moore to the team is really going to turn around his fortunes. Just don't see it.
I like DJ Moore, but he's not enough to be a game changer.
See, I don't think so either. Maybe just having a competent hand will help him out there. Whereas, I mean, everyone loved Darnell Mooney last year. Remember that?
I mean, I like Claypool too. Don't get that. I mean, he's still there too. I like Claypool too. But again, those are all like wide receiver 2/3s. He doesn't have a 1.
Even if you got him a 1, would it make him substantially better? It would be my contention that no, it wouldn't. Maybe he's just not
it would
good.
help, but
like, what if they had signed DeAndre Hopkins?
They'd be better, but I mean, they were like the worst offense in football last year, so
like
that's not saying much.
If let's say miraculously, I didn't put Kyler on this list because I think he'll be out most of this year. Although it looks like he's like angling to play as quickly as possible. Let's say in a weird world, Kyler Murray is okay and he's starting for the Cardinals. Why aren't the Bears the worst team in football?
The Texans are still pretty damn bad. Hard to pick an NFC team because the NFC is so weak. If you're betting like the worst team records, I don't think you can touch anyone in the NFC. It's just too dangerous.
Yeah, we did
pick 2 or 3 really bad AFC teams because of the strength of the conference and go there.
Hey, we did it last year, and those bad AFC teams can throw a monkey wrench into what's going on in the NFC in those crossover games. Like, you might think this NFC team, they're like 6 and Carolina's 6-2. Look at them. Oh, they're playing Houston, who sucks. And like Houston waxes them.
Yeah, that can happen. I'm just saying. That's where I would go.
So we're into the top 8. And I think that we'll probably all have the same 8 names inside the top 8. I will kick mine off at number 8 with Lamar Jackson at number 8 for me. Where'd he go for you?
I also have same.
Jeff?
Same. Number 8.
Okay.
Across the board.
Yeah.
There's a thought of making him higher, but stay healthy. That's still a question. I like it. They brought the coordinator from. I mean, he'll get a chance to pass more in the new setup there, so we'll, get a better evaluation. And if people are upset with that, and maybe he should be higher, he's won an MVP. He's accomplished more than maybe some guys ahead of him, but for me, it's 8.
Well, we know that winning an MVP at any point makes you number 1, unless you're Aaron Rodgers, according to Tim, and then you can be barely ranked on this top 10 list year after year. The key to Aaron Rodgers' ranking, I think, Jeff, is going to be not winning the MVP the year before. Then you go way up the rankings. That's how I see Tim's list playing out. Is there any truth to that?
If there's bait there, I'm not taking it. I'm a reformed person. I'm not going to take any bait. I'm promising people a very different Leaf this football year. Whatever you think you're used to getting from me, you're not going to get. I'm in a very different spot. Mentally, I'm in a very great Zen spot right now, and I'm just not going to take the bait. I've learned some lessons. Let's not take that bait because Jeff's going to win that award this year, and I'm going to make sure of it.
So you're going to campaign really hard?
I mean, I think I've already got a 3 touchdown lead. So,
See, saying things like this is not helping your case.
but I mean, I could still lose it. I mean, I've seen teams give up bigger point totals in the past, right, Jeff? But
Thanks.
I just have to play it smart. Yeah, that's fine. You know what? I'm not going to be bothered by it.
You don't have
That's
a
okay.
chance. You're foaming at the mouth every day to just go off.
I scroll
About, like-
I scroll through X and just smile, and I don't respond.
Every day. Every day there's like a new glowing story about the Jets, and things are going wrong other places, and your Twitter feed stays silent. So I commend you.
Thank
But
you.
you are going to erupt like a volcano. And it's going to be before like the end of week 1. That's a guarantee. Whether that's positive Jets or trolling someone else, you're going to erupt soon. Like there's rumbling around your apartment right now.
I'm fine. I'm in a really good spot.
It sounds like
I'm
you got it all
cautiously
together.
pleasant.
Yeah, you sound like you're not just, like Jeff said, bursting at the seams. We can hear you holding it back. And that's not what the show is for. You're able to vent. This is a private conversation. I don't even think anyone's going to
Yeah.
watch this.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Todd Mencken was the name you were searching for, Jeff. I'm kind of dubious because people are hailing him as like, oh, he's really going to revitalize this offense. Like the best year, like, yeah, he was Georgia's OC the last 2 years. I mean, how much credit can you give to college coaches? I've always really wondered this, honestly. Like, aren't the best coaches in college just the best recruiters, and then you just get the best people, and then they beat the shit out of the bad teams?
Well, I don't know. Matt Rule was great, wasn't he?
You know, I mean, Rule didn't go well. And Pat, sort of to your point, the last sort of like, oh my God, this coordinator's coming. He's going to be amazing was Joe Brady. Like he got so much hype in some respects, and it didn't really show anything. But you're always excited because college gets to be on the cutting edge before the NFL, like when things are sort of changing. And Georgia's just been so dominant. So there's that.
For sure. And then people will point back to those Tampa teams that the entire offense was just, hey, Jameis, take 3 steps back and chuck it up to Mike Evans. And it worked. But Jameis also threw like 30 picks.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what this offense is going to look like. You have a potentially disabled Rashad Bateman. We haven't seen him since week 3 last year, in a game he was great against the Dolphins, which I think the Dolphins still ended up coming back and winning. You have Beckham, who hasn't played in a year. He just turned 30. I have no idea how good Zay Flowers is. And, I mean, you talk about Watson not playing at all. Like, when was the last time we saw Lamar play? Like, he just
Yeah, it was like November.
he like actively sat out to make the playoffs.
The last 2 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, it was
And
just,
so I don't know, but there's also this
Yeah.
notion in the pro Lamar camp that now that he's been paid, he's gonna like flip this switch of like
I hope so. He's the most fun of the top 8 quarterbacks.
oh, for sure. 100%.
So I hope he does, but we'll see, I guess. I mean, I have him at the lowest of the top 8 too, because I just injuries and he's missed time, and you got to be a little more cautious at this point when we're ranking the top ones.
Do you think that he's going to run as much?
I think he has to. I don't think he can not run.
Okay. Number 7 for me, Aaron Rodgers.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeff.
Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. So which one would you like to talk about, Jeff, first?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I guess Lawrence. I don't know. He was on my list. Thought about putting him a couple spots higher. Maybe he'll get trolled because he's won a playoff game and there's people ahead of him or person ahead of him who hasn't. Again, I'm just a sucker for where you were drafted, what we said you were going to be. You can almost write off his first year with the coaching situation. He made strides. Last year was a slog. Like early in the year, betting on him and the Jags, it wasn't great. They weren't covering, but they sort of found their momentum, and I think it continues to rise clearly. Like I believe he is what he was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that there's like I have the top 3, then 2 more, and then I have this tier of Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, and Lamar. Maybe I'm a bit too high on Lawrence in this spot, but I did like what I saw the second half of the year, and I don't mean this to compliment you, Jeff. He kind of seems like Justin Herbert, but everything looks like slightly harder for him. If that makes any sense.
Sure. In some respects, he can make all the throws, but sometimes it doesn't look as effortless. With Herbert, I don't think it's even. I am certain the amount of like turnover potential balls, like there's the stat versus Herbert, like his is probably way higher than Herbert's over the first 2 years of their careers. So he's more prone to that, I would think. But showed a lot of stones. He recovered from like a 4 interception half and. Fucked me.
And this is a spot, too, if we're drafting for the next 2 years, grabbing Lawrence now, Tim, I think that you'd want to be rolling the dice a little bit that, a big breakout in year 3 into year 4, where all of a sudden, when we're talking about, like, listen, no matter where you want to rank Rodgers, it's very doubtful that he's a top 3 quarterback this year and next year.
Whereas, I had Lawrence at 4. I had him way higher than you guys.
Okay, so you like Lawrence even more.
Yeah, I saw enough last season to think that, 2021 was an aberration. And he looked, particularly towards the end of the year, I thought he looked great in 2021. Much to my chagrin, as I kind of didn't want him to look that good.
When's he on the Argos? The Rough Riders?
Yeah, look, I was taking a lot of glee in early season struggles. I wanted to be on that banner. But anyway.
He went from the CFL to the number 4 quarterback on your list.
I changed my opinions when the facts. I changed my opinions when the facts change. I've seen him play well enough to be there. He's young. I don't think there's a lot of talent on that Jacksonville team, and yet he rises above what I think is a really untalented team. I still think is a really untalented team. I think he's great and he's young, and he played great in college. He played great in his first full real year in the NFL. So. I'm sold. I'm sold over a lot of these other guys. I have the more physical running QBs all below him because I just don't trust their style of quarterbacking. Like Hurts, Allen, and Jackson are all so susceptible to injury that I would just never take them over the guys who are a little bit more classically quarterback inclined. That's me.
Okay. Well, I mean, Lawrence isn't immobile either. I mean, running isn't the main cog
none of
his
these
game.
QBs are immobile. None of these QBs are immobile. They can all run, but some of them are more predominantly dependent on their running ability to succeed, and others are not.
Well, let's talk about Josh Allen in that context then, because
Sure.
I do think that obviously that's a huge part of his game, which makes him so effective, especially near the goal line. I think the difference between Hurts, Lamar, and Josh Allen in that context is I think that people would feel if you just said, hey, if there was some new rule that quarterbacks couldn't run anymore, like that was illegal to do, that was a penalty, and you had to sit back and be a pocket passer like you're Drew fucking Bledsoe, I feel like most people would think, and myself included, that Allen would be relatively fine in that context. Whereas Lamar and Hurts would have to adapt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But the world in which we live is that Allen just avails himself to significantly more hits and potential injuries than a quarterback of his skill should. And I'm not taking, if I have my pick of QBs, I'm just not going for a guy who I think is unnecessarily risking his health at times. And he does make reckless decisions. So. Yeah, he's obviously a very talented player. 7 might seem low for him, but I mean that's why I have Hurts just right above him because that style of QB, the Cam Newton style QB, flashes very brightly, but it flashes for a very short period of time. And neither of them are in their first or second years. They're well into their careers now. So less so Hurts, but Allen and Jackson certainly are. So. Like their style of QB just doesn't lend them to long-term quarterback health. And so these 2 years are to me, big question marks for both Allen and Jackson.
For context, last year when he was, I think, the preseason MVP favorite, you were very out on him. Like you've been out on Allen versus the public perception for a couple years.
I'm not, because people seem to think he's the greatest QB that walked on water. I just don't see it. Like he's he's a very good quarterback. But like, he ain't Joe Burrow. He ain't Mahomes. He ain't your boy. He's okay. He's good, but he's reckless with the ball in terms of his decision making, and he runs way too much, and he puts himself at risk way too often.
I mean-
And I have to split hairs here, and I'm going to split hairs here. I'd rather all those people above him than him.
I was very kind to Josh Allen in my ranks, but you made a point that had me remember watching him play last year, and now I'm thinking, wow, I ranked a guy that I thought had some Jay Cutler qualities that high on my top quarterback list just now. Because there are moments last year like, why does Josh Allen want to do Jay Cutler impressions in the middle of football games?
I think people are really remembering Josh Allen. I mean, it was the game against the Jets when he, I don't know what happened to his UCL, but he decided not to take any rest and just continue to play the entire rest of the season with that injury. And he looked like a different guy. He was not as sharp as he was. Is that indicative of a steep decline in his game going forward? I would like to think that he's going to get healthy.
Indicative of the style of play he plays, and that it's too dangerous, in my opinion, to take him over guys who are less susceptible to get hurt that way.
I adore his truculence.
He's missed 4. I mean, Herbert did that too. He had the broken ribs and kept playing, and then he ended up getting better as the season ended up going along and healthier. But it's weird with Allen. I have Allen at number 3 in full disclosure. I think that he's very close to Burrow because I want to win football games, and there's only 2 quarterbacks that he can't beat. Who has he been eliminated by each of the past 3-4 years in the playoffs? It's one of 2 guys.
He's also been limited by Lamar Jackson too. No. Sorry, what other teams did they lose to?
Houston.
They lost.
Deshaun Watson.
Good quarterback.
Yeah, bad quarterback. So
he's
he lost
number 3 on my
at
list.
At that time,
number
a
3 on my list
quarterback
as well. And honestly, he could. Yeah, no, I think he's got it all. I think he's outstanding, and the arm, the running. I don't know. He's tough as nails. He's perfect for the situation that he is in.
He's soft.
I guess
being
soft. Located where I am.
You think that Josh Allen is soft?
No, I'm just saying that to try to get a rise out of Paul. I think the Bills are soft. I think that I was proven 100% correct on that too last year. I don't think Josh Allen. I think is just stubborn. He's headstrong, and he's reckless. Reckless in every sense of the word when it comes to the way he makes decisions on throwing the ball, when he chooses to take hits, when he chooses not to take rest, when he's injured. Sorry, you stack that up against Herbert, and Herbert's better at just about every single thing that matters at the quarterback position.
This has nothing to do with Herbert, but
it's going too soon because it sounds like you have Herbert ranked below him, and I'm going to say to you, I don't see a single metric that actually counts where I would take Herbert after Allen. I'm sorry.
What about winning? You love winning.
Winning is not a stat. Winning is a
it's
team thing.
QB wins.
I mean, in our 2-year argument, isn't Josh Allen perfect? If his, I'll say it again, if that truculence is what gets him hurt and his body breaks down at some point, like Andrew Luck, well, that's in 3 or 4 years. It's not next 2 years. Again, Josh Allen.
Great. The risk factors are just too high. When it comes to splitting hairs at the top, they're just too high. I'd rather Hurts than him anyway. Hurts is also just better at everything.
You think Hurts is better at everything than Josh Allen?
Just about.
Give me. So he's a better rusher. We'll throw that out there. Although he rushes more than Josh Allen, so
he does rush more.
He's also a lot littler than Josh Allen,
but yet seems to take hits better.
Well, he hasn't played as much as Josh Allen.
Isn't quite as reckless, but I guess when he does make big mistakes, he makes them on grand scales, much like Josh Allen does. I just think. Put it this way. I'll put it this way. Hurts' ceiling is quite simply higher than Allen's ceiling.
Really?
We saw it last year. Hurts basically would have won the MVP had it not been for the last 2 games of the season that he didn't play. And Hurts nearly won the MVP of the Super Bowl in a losing cause and most definitely was going to win it had the Chiefs not scored at the end. I don't think Josh Allen has that in him.
Basically, what you just described was Josh Allen's game against the Chiefs the year before when they lost the AFC Championship game.
In the divisional round.
Well, you had to play Kansas City somewhere.
I don't think
both arguments you're making are against the same team in the same thing.
Put their ceilings together in terms of regular season or playoffs, and I just think Hurts' ceiling is higher. That's why I have Hurts ahead of him.
I would disagree with that. I mean, I obviously, even by this list, I would tell you that Josh Allen, I think, is better than Jalen Hurts. But
that's perfectly fair. I don't see it that way.
I have Hurts at 5. Jeff, where do you have him?
Same.
Mr.
I've
Ceiling.
heard some-
And I have him at 6. So
Mr. Ceiling.
he's got a fantastic ceiling. But
He-
I am going to knock all the QBs who run a little bit. That's the philosophy that I brought to this list. I'm sticking with it.
I think we just saw the best season Jalen Hurts is ever going to have, Jeff. Unless they can run that like rugby scrum.
There's no one
QB
good
sneak.
in the NFC. There's
Well, I don't
nobody
care
good
about
in
the NFC, Tim.
But
We're-
they are good. So I expect him to put up monstrous numbers because of it.
That's fine, but this isn't the purpose of this.
Well, you just said we just saw his ceiling year. I don't think that's true.
Oh, it's going to be
don't
hard.
think that's true.
It's going to be hard to top those numbers. He had an amazing year, and just it's very hard to repeat those kind of numbers, especially running quarterback like you mentioned. He's probably going to get hurt, might die on the field.
It is a risk, and he did last year. Got hurt, and it's a risk. But still think he could do it.
So where did you have Hurts, Jeff?
Same as you. I had him at 5.
Yeah, I think
I had him at 6.
See, I think he's on a tier behind the top 3 with Herbert, and then it's the other 3. That's the way that I have them all ranked.
I had Rodgers at 6.
Do you
I have Rodgers at 5
Why do you have Rodgers at 5?
for 2 years. I know I'm getting him for 2 years
Sure.
minimum because he took a $30 million pay cut to stay with us. That he's just really good.
That's it. Just he's really good, although he noticeably declined last year. And when he was coming off back-to-back MVP seasons, you barely ranked him inside the top 10. So when he was good, you wouldn't rank him high. But now that he's not good, or not, I wouldn't say he's not good. I think he's number 7 on this list. But it seems weird to have him over Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen to me.
You're welcome to attack all you want. And
I'm not attacking. I'm asking for your logic behind this.
I have
and
him
when
the
when
lowest
asked
of the
why you have him ranked, you just said he's good.
I have him ranked the lowest of the non-principally running quarterbacks because of his age. But I think you would be foolish not to think that there hasn't been a complete renaissance in his life and his game and his enjoyment of football and his willingness to give a team $30 million back. And he still is healthy. He takes care of himself. I think he's in a great spot. He's still only a year removed from having won back-to-back MVPs.
But that didn't matter before. You said Kirk Cousins was better than him when he was winning MVPs.
We're now ranking where I have Cousins still in my top 10, but we are ranking.
Hold on, Jeff. Do you remember this?
Yeah, but
I'm
so
sure.
what?
I'm sure.
Again,
I don't understand. Like you have.
are you going to keep interrupting?
I'm
me while
not.
trying
I
to
mean,
make my
you
point, or am I
hold
allowed
on,
to-
pal. If you want to talk about interrupting people, wait till Cuss Corner 45 comes out. It's just him talking over everyone the entire time. So you might want to pump the brakes on that one. Paul might have to start using the mute button on you. But I'm just trying to understand your logic about this as it pertains to Aaron Rodgers. Can you just say, now that he's on the Jets, I have him ranked inside the top 5? That's all I want to hear.
But
Because
that's
if he
not-
wasn't on the
that's
Jets,
not the reason.
really, if he was on any other
if he had
team,
gone to San Francisco or Oakland, I would have felt the same way.
but
If he showed the same type of
Oakland doesn't even have a
excitement and
team, so that'd be tough.
Las Vegas, he would have shown the same type of enjoyment and sort of energized. Plus, I'm watching him at camp and watching the throws that he's making, and it's exciting. And
Good-
so I
good
think
in camp,
he's kind of he's there. So
Yeah. So
you know,
when we were talking about skills and guys you want on your team, Jeff, if I'm understanding this correctly, I want to run it by you first before I confront Tim. I need to give him a second here so I don't attack him too much. Is that Rodgers is significantly better now than when he won 2 MVPs in a row 2 and 3 years ago, is what Tim's logic is.
I mean, based on his ranking, that is what he's saying. He's older. He could be susceptible to injury as well. But yes, you've got it right, Pat, in terms of figuring out what Tim was trying to say.
because you see, unless a person says exactly what they said 3 years ago, their position is not not valid. That's the argument that's being extended here. Well, I don't buy that. I
But
think
anybody who knows you knows exactly where this ranking comes from.
you're welcome
I
to
will give
presume
you-
that all you please.
I know it's not supposed to play into the ranking. I had Aaron Rodgers 5. The situation is not play into the ranking, but he does feel like the perfect man for this moment. We watched Stafford, we watched Brady, Rodgers from go. It is, we wondered what would happen before it happened. Once it did happen, does seem like he had a total turn. It was like your buddy who was in a shitty marriage, married to the meanest woman or something. At least that's what he told us. And then that night where it's over And he walks through the door out on the town, and this guy looks like fresh. It's like a new life. It's like, holy shit, what happened to Aaron? And, you know, from giving the money back to holding court over Sean Payton, saying anything about his friend and his coach and his guy, and to all the stories. Like every day he seems to be meeting this moment, knows exactly what is required of him.
So
I've been impressed.
Basically, nothing football related is why Aaron Rodgers is good now, but better than he was last year or any of the
He
past.
played
2
well
years.
last year, and he's been
He
playing very
didn't
well.
really play well that last year at all. That's the problem. Like, is that a real
Yes.
decline, or is it what you're saying? Just didn't want to be there, threw in the towel.
Me and Pat are ranking him on his reputation mainly. You are ranking him why?
On his potential. What I hope is to be his potential. What I've seen based on the interviews I've been listening to and the preseason tape that I have seen and the videos on X that come up when he, throws touchdowns, from him wrapping his arm around Randall Cobb during the anthem at the Hall of Fame game and looking completely into it, and the fact that he still is a very viable quarterback, and the quarterbacking pool is still pretty shallow, and he doesn't run nearly as much as those other guys. So he's the lowest ranked of the non-running QBs. I stand by it. I'm not too far off where you guys ranked him, so I don't get the argument that we're having here. We all sort of agree with each other violently.
Yeah, but this is where Jeff and I have had Aaron Rodgers each of the past 3 years, and we've done.
I'm
this.
not allowed to change my mind. Well,
I'm trying to find the actual reason that you've changed your mind, and I've pinpointed. Why can't you just say it?
Because I don't think that's the reason.
But I don't understand why. Okay, so a lot of this is you're projecting forward based on things that you've seen in the past, because everything else you said has been completely ancillary. It's been hugging Randall Cobb in a game that he's not playing in, some sort of glorious Twitter clip that you saw. But when I say that I'd take Deshaun Watson 10th, that's insane.
Well, I watched Deshaun Watson not play for 1 year, play like garbage in the half
So
of the year he played.
Why don't you go onto X and just search Deshaun Watson camp videos? Maybe you'd feel he's completing passes in camp. Like, I don't. What's the difference?
I couldn't say.
What's the difference between these two things? If one of them is ludicrous, he could never come back. We saw a bit of a decline from Rodgers. Nothing has changed in terms of how we're drafting this, except he smiles in interviews now.
I'm not taking the bait. Not going to
There's
do
not.
it.
Just say it.
No, there's nothing for me to say other than what I've said, which is that he's good and that I expect great things.
You're not being, for a guy who's so genuine for the most part, you aren't being genuine.
What do you want me to say?
I told you.
I just told you the truth.
It's the truth.
Paul, how do you feel about Cuss talking about Josh Allen this way?
I'm not gonna lie.
Because he's on the Jets, okay? Let's move on.
Oh.
Let's just move on. Move on.
Wait, so I'm not. There's Tim
There's him
interrupting.
cutting Paul off.
Yeah.
Then mute me.
No, I
Then
absolutely
mute me
love
then.
it. Bring the hate.
Bring the hate. If you had to put an over-under on weeks when Tim turns on Aaron Rodgers, what would you say that it is?
I just hope he never turns on Josh Allen. Keep that same energy through the whole season, please.
Okay. The top four, I assume we all have them in the same order. I mean, I guess you don't have Josh Allen, but Jeff, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Herbert.
That is my top four.
That's my top
I
four
have-
as well.
Mahomes, Burrow, Herbert, Lawrence.
Herbert, Lawrence.
I mean, you think Jets fans are crazy. I mean, talk about what's going on with Herbert. I'm spending my days on X these days watching a bunch of Chargers fans go on and on about how they don't see a single game they could lose. You've got Chargers fans out here contending they're going to win every game.
I don't even know who this is.
I mean, that's what you said.
about?
That's what you said about the Jets.
No, there are Chargers fans out there claiming they're going to win every game.
There is only one Chargers fan in the whole fucking world, and he didn't say that.
It's not true, is it, Jeff?
I don't know what you're talking about. I know I didn't say that.
I was
So,
literally put
like, if
into
you're
a thread.
referring to like a fan rate, like someone doing a Chargers radio on the internet, and you're picking the lowest common denominator of crazy, then sure, someone may have said that. But come on, that's ridiculous.
They play in the same division as the Chiefs. And the now about to go 17-0 Broncos, if you curse them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a down year for the Chiefs and the Broncos. Not nearly as bad down for the Chiefs as the Broncos, mind you. The Chiefs might just win 12 games, and that would be a down year for them.
So everyone is Herbert 4? Is that what it is?
I have Herbert 3.
Oh, you've Herbert 3. That is nice. I guess I'll just do it. It's kind of been my rant once the dust settled last year, in that I am able to make the case that what Justin Herbert did last year was under like circumstances of potentially being his floor. He played with an injury that, if you watch that Netflix documentary, Kirk Cousins, like, nothing is worse for a quarterback than the midsection. And Herbert had essentially the worst midsection injury that you could still play under and somewhat be, competitive. The receivers were out. My all-pro left tackle went out, and he just guided everybody. Like, Keenan and Al and Mike weren't there a lot, and he just made things work. And it looked so ugly at times, but in the end, they were standing.
How good
So
is
they
Josh
died.
Palmer?
So yeah, I don't know. He has it all. And what needs to change? What needs to change? He has to, and I know this was a flaw at the draft process, he needs to take over the team. It is now his team. Keenan is like demanding it of him. Like, you own this thing now. And hopefully there's a comfort level, and with Kellen Moore, like, go. Like, there's no, this personality kind of slowly felt his way into that role. Like, now he must take it over. And when things aren't go right, like, he can hold people accountable, but it's all got to happen right now. I will die on the hill. It will happen, but I don't mean a Super Bowl, but anyone who doubts him is making a big mistake.
I think that would be, it's funny to look at it. And I think what you said is correct, that he needs to be the guy and take over this team. That is something, Tim, I will give Aaron Rodgers credit for, going to the Jets. It seems like he's just the guy. He's taken over everyone. Everyone listens to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, and he's earned that reputation. That's why he can get away with that. But I would say, Jeff, that it does feel like Lawrence has more of that on Jacksonville than Herbert does on the Chargers currently.
And you know what, though? Part of that is probably, Pat, that he came into a team like with Keenan Allen, with Derwin James, with Joey Bosa, with Trevor is sort of like may have been forced into it, and maybe it would have been better if Herbert was forced into it, but he wasn't out of the gate, and he was babied in that regard. But if you listen to things now, it's like, no, like Austin was saying this week, like, I feel like Phillips talking to me. Like, when like, in terms of his control of the operation, he's like, no, now it feels like it's a guy that's been here for, like, he knows, and he's trying to take hold of that. But we will never get to the next step, regardless of his talent, if he doesn't harness that in a way that Joe Burrow was able to do that in maybe his first huddle in the league. So that's a flaw, and that's a real flaw when it comes to being able to win and get over humps. That could be a hurdle. And if we don't do it, if we like blow something again, 0-27, what happened in Jacksonville is now part of the fabric of us until it's changed. Even if they fire Staley and they bring in someone else, until the Chargers win a playoff game or two, that what happened in Jacksonville is part of our DNA of the Herbert story.
I kind of completely forgot that happened. I think it's part of their reality. It's a lived experience that they went through, and you and your, like, I don't know, AA meeting size of Chargers fans out there remember it very vividly. Tim, I barely remember that happening. It was just like another wild card game that went awry.
No, I remember it vividly, only because I felt so terrible during the whole thing.
And it's what sucks is they went 10-7, and instead of like, whoa, everything went wrong for this team, they're 10-7 and they're in the playoffs, which should have been like, oh, maybe let's give Brandon Staley the smallest amount of credit, turned into, he's a fucking idiot. This Mike Williams thing, what a clown, what a moron. So like there was a moment where like we had a window to like change a bit of a narrative. No. And then we go to the playoff game and his defense shows up, and then we do what can't be forgotten. Like, it is in my core at the moment. And they got to change it.
We're not really going to discuss Burrow and Mahomes. I think those are very clearly 1 and 2 at the moment. Although PFF, I'm just looking at it right now, is Josh Allen at number 2, based on their metrics, which I think I'd rather have Burrow at this point, even though the calf might hold him back. Hopefully he's going to be fine with that. I guess the final question is, what would Mahomes have to do to not be number 1 on the list, Tim?
Not even number 1. What would have to happen for someone to even like join him? Like Burrow or Allen or someone wins a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
If Burrow wins an MVP, if Burrow wins an MVP and beats him in the playoffs, again, okay, you can make that case. Maybe that would be what it would take.
But even
Not likely to happen.
even if that happened, would anyone sit here being like, "Yeah, I don't want Patrick Mahomes number 1 to be my quarterback"?
No, but it would be very close at that point. Very close run. If Burrow has a unanimous MVP season and then goes ahead and beats the Chiefs in the playoffs and they would win the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the world
still
would be his
don't.
oyster.
I
The
still
world would be
can't
his oyster.
envision the scenario where next season ends, and even if Burrow does what you say, that if the GM's got to do a whole league draft, Mahomes is still number 1.
I understand, and maybe you're right, but like that's to me like the rosiest scenario where it could be possible.
And for how much I like Allen and Burrow, the gap. The scariest thing is last year showed the gap is bigger than we even thought, and we all had him 1 last year. But there was a vibe like maybe Allen like has closed this thing, or the Bengals beat them. Like maybe this thing can close. The Chargers were so hyped last offseason. Like maybe they traded Tyreek Hill. It's like this gap, if it's ever closing, it's now. And he widened it. Like what a master. What a master.
Did you know that Mahomes is only a year older than Burrow?
No, but it doesn't surprise me because Burrow played a full senior season right in college.
Yeah, like I believe. Let me see. That was when I was looking up Deshaun Watson. That's what I found to be the craziest thing. Like Deshaun Watson's only a year older than Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow has a couple of years because of the extra college time, but he needed it.
Yeah, clearly.
Would it be too much before we go? I know Tim admitted he interrupted Paul, but he admitted why Aaron Rodgers, he sort of turned his ranking narrative. Will he also admit why he despises Sean Payton is strictly related to him making fun of the Jets?
Not strictly related. I was never particularly consumed with him as a coach. I always thought he was kind of overrated, and I'd never forgotten that he got suspended for an entire year for allowing Bountygate to take place on his watch. But then unprovoked to take an ugly, weird drive-by smear of another team's offensive coordinator for no reason. Like what terror? So I guess there's no coaching fraternity for him. Like what bad form that was. Just completely uncalled for.
It was proven that Bountygate happened. Didn't he have some sort of like prescription drugs thing that he was buying too, or was that just someone on the Saints staff?
Can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, in regards to Sean Payton, the point I was trying to make, that I think that an accuracy-based quick throw offense that he had run with Drew Brees, that I think that Tua would be very good in that type of offense. And maybe, listen, he ended up winning the Super Bowl with the Saints, which is miraculous considering where they were in the early 2000s and whether or not they were going to stay there, move to San Antonio, whatever the hell was going on. I mean, he made that team consistently good for over a decade.
Yeah, or Drew Brees did.
Or they both helped each other. I mean, Drew Brees was on the Chargers. How consistently good were they, Jeff?
I think
They
a
made the
lot of
playoffs.
quarterbacks would have had success with. There was a period of time where no one drew something up on the whiteboard and it showed up on the football field offensively exactly as it was drawn up, like that Brees Peyton combo. I feel nothing about his CV like Tim. I think he's a great coach. I hope it doesn't go well in Denver, but that's just like a biased prayer.
Like, if we were to look at it, is Drew Brees the worst good quarterback?
Yes.
I would say yes.
Yeah, probably.
Like, I'll die on that hill. And I don't want to take anything away from him, but absolutely.
Like, he's an all-time quarterback. He's an all-time great, but he's not fucking Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning. Like, he's nowhere near those guys.
Yeah, he's the worst all-time great, if
Yeah.
that's an insult.
Yeah, that's the way that I would try to describe it. Like, does he still lead in passing yards, or did Brady end up breaking that?
I don't know. They kept passing that
I don't-
back and forth.
I think Brady broke it.
Oh, he ended up
think
getting it
you're right.
back? Okay, so what if the Chargers had kept Breeze and Rivers went to the Saints? Do you think Rivers is a Super Bowl winner? Because I think that Rivers could have just had Breeze's career if he was on the Saints.
100%. But you could interchange a few quarterbacks who couldn't get over the hump in that era into that Saints offense. I think they would have been spectacular.
I would agree. All right, that will do it. On the Pat Mayo Experience, dipping our toes back in the water for NFL season. It's a very tame show compared to what is coming up. We have the AFC wins, we have the NFC wins, and we're going to try to do that win totals draft. People have been demanding us three, Cam, Rob, do a draft all together of some sort before the season starts. I'm going to try to arrange that. I know people are going on vacation, myself, Tim, I assume. Are you going away anywhere, Jeff?
We talk about it a lot here, but things are always in the air.
All right, so I'm going to try to coordinate that before the year starts so we can get it all together, but you're going to be catching us every single week now through the Super Bowl. So you'll be really sick of us by the time like November rolls around. But until then, it's going to be great news. I want to thank Paul behind the camera. I want to thank Jeff, and of course, I want to thank Tim Endicott
Tim Andergust.
Not my name.
for his honesty in admitting that Aaron Rodgers is only ranked that highly because he is now on the Jets. Smash the like, sub to the channel, and download and review the audio podcast of the Pat Mayo Experience. So don't be afraid to use runthesims.com, okay? Then code Mayo will get you 10% off. You're going to want it. Trust me, okay? And then when you start using it, you'll be like, holy shit, Mayo, you are absolutely right. What a steal. Your words directly. Promise you, okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!